Hello and welcome to our fifth Facebook Live. Yes, yes, it is the fifth Facebook Live. And I'm so happy. This is a special moment today. We have Anne Zakaras with us and Petra Beck, who are discussing elevator pitch, a little bit about both of these. Anne was, like the graphic says, Ireland champion, but well, Anne was the director of senior director, chief business development officer actually at Launch, and it was just wonderful to work with Anne as a colleague. She has 4 months ago, she had to take another career break. So she's now on her second career break, Anne. Is that right?
That's right. That's correct.
Yeah, yeah. So, Anne had a career break. She came back to the workforce, and then she was working with Irie Launch, and then now she's at another career break and rocking whatever she's doing as usual. So happy to have her today in this panel. And we have Petra Beck, um, who is, I think her title is
Events coordinator.
operations coordinator. But for me, Petra is the go-to person. I work because Petra is there. Everything, Petra and I work so closely together. We are able to bring all this to you thanks to Petra manages the podcast, which is a heavy lift, and love her as a person, as a colleague, everything about it.
Same.
Anne and Petra have a great elevator pitch story. Petra met Anne at a networking event
That's right.
where she got to know about Ari launch and what the elevator pitch is. So this is like a full circle. I was so glad that we decided to have these two people together doing this session. Over to you both. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roshna, and same to you. All the things you just said. I'm so grateful to be here with you and with Anne. We're going to have fun today,
Yeah.
talking about the elevator pitch. Now, Anne, do you want to give any background to? You want to do
My
that first?
background?
Yeah.
Well, sure. So I worked, well, first of all, hello, relaunchers. Thank you for, investing in yourselves to come to the conference, to, if you've opted to have the roadmap, investing in yourself for the roadmap. And, my feeling is I always like to give very tactical, practical advice. So that's the goal of today is we're going to be talking about specifics and giving you guidelines to create your elevator pitch. So a little bit of background about me, other than what you've heard, is that I worked for 20 plus years in sales and sales leadership for global organizations like Johnson & Johnson, Kimberly-Clark, Procter & Gamble. And then I took an 8-year career break for childcare. And then I went back to work. I relaunched with a very small company, like 3 people in sales, and did that for 3 years. And then was hired by, I relaunched to work with this amazing team for 7 years. And as they mentioned, I'm now on my second career break for elder care. So I guess I'm also becoming a professional relauncher. But I'm excited to do this career break, but also then see where my next chapter takes me.
So. Excellent. Thanks, Anne. And it's true. We met at a networking event while I was during my career break. It was during my career break. And I had been working in public relations and marketing and executive admin, and then took a career break for childcare for many, many years. So, and then I met Anne, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's iRelaunch for people who are looking to get back into the workforce, and I was so excited. And then
yes, my people.
Yeah, right. Yay! So we're all in the right spot. And then through meeting Anne and coaching through iRelaunch, I became a virtual assistant on my own, and then was hired by iRelaunch to do what I'm doing now. So I'm very pleased to be here to help other relaunchers find their path. And okay, that's our stories, and let's get into it, Anne. Okay, today we're talking about our creating an elevator pitch. Anne, why is it so important to have one? And what is it exactly?
Okay. Yeah. So an elevator pitch is a way to present your talents, your value to potential employees. And then the beginning of an elevator pitch, or where it got its name, is it was really enacting the situation that if you happened to step onto an elevator and there was your dream, the hiring manager for your dream job, what would you say to that person, before the elevator got to the next floor and the doors opened? So with that in mind, elevator pitches are brief. Think like not to give it, but just a round number, like 30 seconds or less. So they're brief, they're crisp, and they're authentic. And so I know for me, when I'm creating something new, I really it's helpful for me to have a format or some way that, some guideline to create it. So if we think about creating an elevator pitch, think of 3 segments. First of all, who you are professionally. We all have lots of different parts to our lives. We're moms, we're children, we're siblings, we're runners, we're whatever. We're all the different parts to who we are. But in the context of an elevator pitch, you really want to focus on the professional you, who you are professionally, and what you do/did professionally. What are your talents? So that's the first thing. And we're talking 1-2 sentences. We're not talking your whole resume. That will happen later in the relationship. But so who you are professionally, what you did and do professionally. Second segment is what are you doing now? For relaunchers, we're on a career break. If you did something that's relevant to your job search or relevant to your next job, get a certification, something like that, it's great to mention that briefly in your elevator pitch. And then the third thing is then focusing on what you want to do next, where you're going with your career after your break. So for example, if I was to do an elevator pitch, I would say, hi, I'm Ann Zacharias. I'm an experienced sales professional and sales leader with a strong track record of success across multiple industries and multiple geographies. I took an 8-year career break for childcare, and now I'm very excited to return to my sales career and start to deliver value and revenue for your organization. So that would be example. Again, 3 segments: what I do professionally, who I am professionally, what I'm doing now, and then what I want to do next.
Awesome. So you are talking about being very specific about what you want to do next. And I think a lot of relaunchers fall into the trap of understanding that they have a lot of skills that they've acquired even during their break, and they have a lot of skills that they had while they were working professionally, but they haven't identified what they want to do. So can they approach someone and say, and I can do all kinds of things? What do you say to that?
What we say is elevator pitches should be brief, crisp, and authentic. And in reality, we can't do anything. So that's not authentic. So first of all, what we need to do as relaunchers is we need to do the work to figure out what we want to do. And if you don't know it now, that's okay. That's why you're attending the conference, So if you have the roadmap, there is a whole segment in there about how to translate the skills that you developed in your first career and how that you can make those into transferable skills to your next career. So that's one way that we can help you decide, and help you translate those into figuring out what you want to do next. And another key thing is that Brim Panay Burkhart's presentation during the conference is all about how to figure out, how to do your career pivot and how to pivot your career successfully. So that presentation is amazing for everyone, but particularly if you're a career pivoter, you will not want to miss 1 minute of that presentation.
That's true. I've witnessed that. I've watched that one, and it really helps anyone who is having any um, difficulties kind of distilling what they want to do next and putting it into words. It really helps put you through a whole workshop basically of getting to where you want to go and distilling your talents, your passions, and putting them all into one sentence. So that's what you are going to present as part of your elevator pitch, and then that will inform how you relaunch. It's so important to figure out what you want to do. Now, you mentioned pivoting, Anne. What if you're talking about to someone during this elevator pitch and what you did before isn't what you are hoping to relaunch into? Would you handle this differently in your elevator pitch?
Yeah, I'm really happy you asked that because so many relaunchers are pivoting. And the good news is you can use the same three formats: who you are professionally and what you do/did professionally, what you're doing now and what you want to do next. When you're pivoting, you also want to add some reason or justification, like how you've landed on this pivot, or what the link is between what you did before and how you got to what you want to do today. So so for an example, it might be, if somebody were to say, I was a marketing professional before, and in that role, I always found the most interesting aspect of that job was analyzing the data, analyzing the results of the marketing campaign. So during my career break, I got certified in data analytics, and now I'm really excited to relaunch in the IT area and specifically data analytics. So that would be one example. And just to go a little bit farther, writing the elevator pitch is a great way to help you begin to crystallize your thoughts, like, what were my talents? And and if you're doing something really different, it doesn't have to be your old job description or your old job title. Really think about, how did I add value in my last job? And so you could lead with something like, I'm a problem solver. I'm a great project leader. I am a team leader. I'm a fundraiser. What did you do? How did you add value? It's really interesting. I was reading the Wall Street Journal this week, and this person was working, but they were being transferred within their company from one area, finance, to operations. And the reason they listed that this woman was being moved was because she had the reputation for cutting through bureaucratic messes to get things done. So think about that. What was your value? What was your superpower? What were you known for in your last job? And lead with that uh, if you're pivoting your career. And then talk about your career break, and then link it to what you want to do next.
That's great advice. The elevator pitch can be so powerful for your confidence in figuring out what you want and how you want to talk about it. So Anne, we have, like you mentioned, we have the conference, the virtual iRelaunch Return to Work conference coming up in May. And the relaunchers are going to have an opportunity to network on the third day with our employer sponsors. So we're talking about the elevator pitch. How does that translate into those chats with the employer sponsors?
That's a great question. During the conference, it's so fabulous for we as relaunchers to have the opportunity to speak with these companies that want to hire us, you know. And so, but we have 10 minutes. You can accomplish a lot in 10 minutes, but you also want to use that time as efficiently as possible. So what you want to do is first write your elevator pitch, and physically write it, type it on your computer, and then have it ready to go so that when you join your chat with your employer, you can pop it right into the chat first thing. And that way, they immediately, the hiring person is talking with you, immediately has a sense of who you are and what values you bring. And And you're not wasting those precious 10 minutes with something that's not so valuable, like, how are you? Are you having a good day? Or nice to meet you? So really use it to your advantage. And maybe Petra, do you want to talk a little bit more and elaborate on how that works in Brazen?
Yeah, thank you, Anne. So in Brazen, you are able to create a greeting that you can save and put in at the beginning of your chat. But here's the really important thing in using your elevator pitch, or how you're going to introduce yourself to these employers, which you can get in line to chat. And next week, we will have the Facebook Live about really digging into using Brazen as a platform. But one thing I did want to bring up today, especially as it relates to the elevator pitch, is you as the relauncher and as the the candidate and the one who's registered to be part of this conference and the networking day has to do the research on the companies. They want to know that you have, one, explored their booth, explored any programs that they might have listed, and any positions that they might have listed. And so when you go into a booth for any of the companies, they want to know that you want to be there. Like, if you pick one of our sponsors, tell them in your elevator pitch in one line, I am interested in your program because X or YZ, XYZ, or whatever your explanation is. Or I'm interested in your the culture of your company because, or ask a question about the culture, the programs, the position. So I can't emphasize enough how impressive that will be to the hiring managers on the other end when they know that you've taken the time to research it. And you can add, you could create, let's say you wanted to talk to 5 different companies on networking day. You could create and save in a different spot different introductions for yourself, depending on what you find in their booths and what you want to learn from that employer. So that could be integrated into your elevator pitch, and we recommend that you do that. So it'll make you look so much better that you've done your homework, and you're not just asking them, where is a good fit for me? Because really, they want to know where you want to be. It's not their job to figure out where to place you. I know that a lot of people think that because we're so talented, they should know, but it's really your job to figure out what you want to do. It's so much easier to help you from that angle. Okay.
Yeah, and
So
so just to build on what you're saying,
yeah,
when you post that elevator pitch in there, just to emphasize, it's great. Then you can put a follow-up question in, like, tell me about your program, tell me about your hiring needs. I'm interested in this program. And as Petra said, though, if you say, tell me about your program, better be darn sure they have a program and
right.
they're not hiring direct. So
That's
that's a
true,
great
because
point.
great point, and not every sponsor has a return to work program running right now. That some of them are, they might have posted links, they might have posted just their main career page. So you really have to check. So great point, Anne. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Anne, should relaunchers practice their elevator pitches, written and or spoken?
Yes, like, yes, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Yes, yes, yes. Again, going back to what we said at the very beginning, elevator pitches should be brief, crisp, and authentic. So the way they become brief and crisp in particular is through practice. And what you want to do is practice them, and so that when you say them, they don't sound rote, they don't sound like a robot, they sound like it's your actual conversation. And this is important, well, in a couple of ways. Number one, if you move to video chats in the conference, you can actually say it during your video chat. But also, it moves beyond the conference so that you have this elevator pitch in case you actually do run into your dream hiring manager in an elevator, or on the softball field, or at a party, or as Petra did, at a networking event. So really practice it so it just rolls right off your tongue and it sounds really conversational, like, you say this every single day.
I
So, and then
think,
same with the
yeah,
written, but that's more in the chats. Sorry.
I agree. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I agree. I think learning your elevator pitch, and it brings you so much confidence because you can just say it. This is who I am. This is where I was. This is what I've done. This is where I want to go. And it is part of the confidence building of being a relauncher. I think so. Anyway,
Yes.
um,
Underscore on that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
really important.
Anne, in my experience, it seems like a lot of relaunchers feel like they have to justify or explain their career break. Can you address that?
Yes. So I'm really happy you brought that up because one of the pitfalls I've seen with relaunchers, as I've worked with them, during my time with a relaunch, is they feel the need to justify that they have a good reason for taking a career break, and they want to explain it. And I've seen it happen where relaunchers will find they'll start to explain why they took the career break, and then all of a sudden they realize they've gone down this rabbit hole. They're spending time, they're wasting their precious minutes on something that's not relevant to how they add value, and it's not relevant to moving into their career. And then there's this awkwardness, and how do I get out of this and move to the other part of the conversation where I really want to be? So what what I would suggest and we suggest to relaunchers is be factual. You took a career break, period. Beyond that, it's really your choice. You can choose to say the length, like I did. I took an 8-year career break for childcare, but you don't have to. You can choose to say the reason. You can say it's for childcare, but you don't have to. It's your career break, and you can explain it how you want. But stick to the facts, be brief, and then as quickly as possible, move the conversation back to what values you have, what value you can bring to their organization.
Excellent. Because I feel like we as relaunchers and have that tendency to want to explain the career break, and I don't think it's necessary. I agree with you. It's not relevant to unless it comes up. Maybe the employer is very curious about what happened. They can ask you, that you don't have to give the reasons, and they have your resume. For the most people at least that's going to happen in the chats with employers. They'll have your resume, so they can see all kinds of information that you don't have to offer up. So excellent point.
Well, and just to add to that, remember, we're talking about the elevator pitch. So really what we're talking about is the first 30 seconds of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So details that you feel you want to share may certainly come up like farther down in the relationship, like more about your background, more about why you want to pivot. That's later in the conversation or at another interview. So just remember, what we're talking about is how do you create value in the first 30 seconds of the
Mm-hmm.
relationship, not like explain your whole career, at the very beginning.
Right.
Really just what are the special nuggets that you have to offer.
Right. Or what you're passionate about doing next. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So I think, Roshna, do we have any questions in the chat?
Not really. I think people are engrossed in listening to you because you have been asking all the right questions, and there has been such an interesting discussion. I especially like the point about, you don't have to highlight something that might be asked in detail later, because this is something that I've heard over and over, that, in the elevator pitch, the whole career break question is treated like the elephant in the room, which need not be, because you need to focus on the nuggets of information. You need to draw them in. And then later, if the question is asked, why not? Because of late, I have been having a lot of conversations with relaunchers, and they're like, yeah, the career break question was asked, but not was not asked so much in detail. So we we discussed it like yet another question, and we moved on what the skills, something that you said, Petra, like, know who you're talking to, and what if you are specific and you are very focused on what you want, and you are good to go,
Right.
right?
Right. They're a lot more interested in your value that you're bringing. Like Anne has said over and over during this conversation, they're way more interested in the value that you think you bring than
Yeah,
anything else in the conversation. That's why you're there, right? This is what I bring to the table for you. And it's up to you to be able to communicate that. So I'm so
right.
grateful for this. Yeah.
Right.
Uh,
There is a question that has just come in
okay.
about listing the career break. Should we list the career break period on the top when the resume is written in a timeline with respect to work experience?
In the resume, is
Yeah, in the resume.
well, I know for the programs that are listed in iRelaunch, they are expecting a career break. Okay. And at the conference, they're expecting a career break. So you can list it. It has to be listed somewhere, whether you want to put it at the top or anywhere. Now, outside, um, that might, outside of the conferencing and our programs that are listed on our website, maybe you can have it in there, but I don't know if that's how you lead on the resume side. That's more of a question for Heidi Ravis, who's our resume expert. And I'm sure there's advice on our resources page for relaunchers on our resume and how to how to form your resume and where to put the career break.
Yeah, yeah. Pallavi, I think I will send you Heidi's Facebook Live that we did with her. We talked about this, and how there are ways to work around it. You have options, as always. You can choose to highlight it, you cannot choose to highlight it. And she also focused on how do you tailor your resumes for returnship programs versus direct hire programs. It is a great discussion on how do you actually what do you want to highlight your resumes, because it can be a case to case question, not one size fits all. Right, Anne? Do you want to add something?
No, I think that's pretty standard that you want to have your resume be chronological. And then if you're applying outside of somebody that has stated program, you may or may not choose to call it out, or you may just list it chronologically, and then people will be able to discern it themselves. But I'm not the resume expert, so I think Heidi's probably
Right.
a better resource than me.
Yes, yes. And there's another question, which I think, Petra, you've answered, but we'll touch upon it again. Do we have any mentorship options to prepare us or guide us before meeting the sponsors?
Mentorship, specifically, like I'm not quite sure.
No, I feel the brazen session that we are doing next week uh, would be would be one of the sessions, Sumana, that you should be watching out for, because that will really take you in the brazen platform and how to actually position yourself and talk to sponsors. But having said that, all these Facebook
Yeah,
lives
I was
that
going
we
to
are
say
Right.
doing,
And
Facebook Live.
let's
yeah.
not forget Carol's keynote. Carol Fishman Cohen's keynote is brilliant every single time. That is a
Yes.
no miss keynote address. She puts everything in a package. Yeah, you will get mentorship. Explore iRelaunch. There's so many resources there. Get
Yes.
your elevator pitch together. It helps. There's information on your resume, on your LinkedIn. And don't miss her keynote address coming up soon. So
Yeah, on May 1. May
yeah,
1.
it's
Yes, Sumana.
amazing.
So, yeah, all these Facebook Lives are actually, um, parts of what she talks about in the keynote, but we decided to flesh them out a little. That was the idea. So it will be a summary of all that we have been talking about: building your confidence, your resumes, elevator pitch, and of course the brazen session. All of that will be taken care of in our keynote. So I think following these Facebook Lives and the Zoom session next week about the Brazen and how to use Brazen, because all this that we are learning, culminating into actually that technological platform, will be a good session to attend. All this, is good uh, to put you up on that stage when the conference starts.
Right. You're in the right spot. And if you're
Yes.
watching these, you're doing the right thing. So,
Right. You're making the effort.
right.
So kudos to you.
Yes, exactly. You're relaunching. We're all cheering you on. So,
Yes, it's an important decision, and it's
it is.
a
It's huge.
it's a huge, it's a big
And you
decision.
have the whole iRelaunch community supporting you. So, do we want to go over? Are we ready to go over our best advice, or are there more questions?
Yeah, there is one another question that that keeps popping up here and there about tailoring your elevator pitches. People will be meeting different sponsors and
Yeah.
different employers during the conference, and even after that. Let's not restrict ourselves to the conference, but even after that. So, do they have like two or three pitches? Where like you said, brief, crisp, and authentic? Do they have two, three pitches and see which one is working better? Would you recommend that?
Well, I'm going to answer that two ways. Number one is, as Petra mentioned, for the conference, or if you're, it's always good to tailor it to specific jobs, and that may differ from, client to client. So in that respect, yes, you might have multiple elevator pitches. It's kind of like you have different versions of your resume. But the other thing is, I would say, is it's a work in progress. So you may start out with an elevator pitch, and after you give it a few times, you go, maybe I want to tweak it,
Mm,
And so I think it's okay. It's a living, breathing document that you may want to change as you go along, and that's okay. Which relaunching is a marathon, not a sprint. So it's something that you will learn as you go along. So
yeah.
I answer that two different ways.
No, that is
Well,
great.
and I would agree with Ann. When it comes to the conference, your job is to explore each employer, and if you want to tailor an elevator pitch per employer that you want to speak with, that's suggested. Yeah, because they have different. They might not have a program, and if for you to ask, like Ann said, for you to ask about their program, it's going to sound like you didn't look in their booth. So find out what you want from the company and why you're there.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
So, well, actually, that is a great lead into my advice. Can I give it?
Yes.
So, since I mentioned I used to work with iRelaunch, and in that role, I would debrief with clients after the conference. And one of the questions that we always asked was, what is the quality? What did you think of the quality of the talent?
Mm,
And always the people said, wow, the talent is very high quality. So any of you seeing this, you should feel really good about yourself and about your background. The one thing, and it sounds like we're beating a dead horse, but the one thing that their number one complaint or drawback was that relaunchers tended to ask questions about things that were posted in their booth. So if you post your elevator pitch and then with a follow-up question about, tell me about this role, or tell me about your hiring, or tell me about your program, or something, you can actually post that follow-up question highlighting something that they posted in their booth. Or you can say, I see you posted in your booth about this. Then it makes you look like, wow, she really prepared, or he really prepared, and they really are interested, and they really looked into us. And when you ask something like, tell me about your program, and they're hiring directly, then you looked unprepared, and even worse, you might not even look that interested. So that's my number one piece of advice. But my second piece of advice is broader and longer. and that is be kind to yourself. You know, it's a process, it's a journey, and you're not perfect. Your hiring managers aren't perfect. You're going to do things that are like amazing, and you're going to have bumps in the road. And just remember, you know, be kind to yourself and walk down the path, and it'll all work out.
Bravo.
Thank you. That was brilliant. Yeah. Brief, crisp, and authentic.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yes. So, all right.
Okay. So I think that should wrap it up for us. We wish you guys the best of success, and we will see you back here for our next Facebook Live on Brazen. Mastering Brazen.
Yay.
Yes. Now we need to master Brazen. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can
It's
do
not
it.
hard. Trust me. It's not hard. It's not hard.
Yeah, it's not hard. But
No.
I think my biggest takeaway from this session is that research, and, you know, focus on exactly what you want, because that will, whatever you put in is what you get out of it, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, thank you so much, Anne and Petra, for doing this.
It's fun to be
Was
back with you guys. I
Yeah.
loved it.
It's been so great
We
to have
loved
you.
it.
And Roshna, you're the best. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
thank you.
This
you
was
all.
just the perfect you know, team to do this. So thank you so much. And for everybody watching, the recording will of course be there in the Facebook group as soon as we end the stream. And we will also put this on a YouTube link, a private YouTube link, if you want to watch it there. So yes, and see you next Wednesday. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. All the best with the conference, relaunchers.
Bye.